That's a,
Yep.
so when we have a vote, by the way, I think it would be good. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Planning Commission. And this was Tuesday, April 14th. We welcome all of you here and those of you that have chosen to join us. We're very appreciative of that, and particularly of your willingness to help us adhere to the state directives. So we're going to do a couple things here that are just a little bit different. I don't know how many of you in your personal positions where you are, if you have a flag, we still are planning on doing the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm fortunate enough to have one flying outside my window. So, but I would like to, as a group, whether or not we can see faces or not, stand and offer the Pledge of Allegiance. And then I've asked Commissioner Allen if he would please offer an invocation for us, and then we'll go into the business of the Planning Commission. So if you wouldn't mind joining with me, and we'll handle the Pledge of Allegiance first. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Commissioner Allen, if you will unmute and take care of the invocation, I would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful for all the blessings and opportunities we have to express our freedom and to discuss the matters in Layton City. Please bless us that we might make the right choices, and please bless us in this trying time, that we might know what to do and be strengthened and follow the directives that our state leaders have given us, and that we might look out for one another and support each other and help each other get through this pandemic. Say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much. As we begin tonight, you'll see that the items that we have are under public review, which means that normally we would have people come to the microphone and speak their feelings about any questions or answer comments regarding the matters at hand. So this causes us a little bit of a challenge, and I thought that perhaps we can give you some direction on how we're going to handle that. So, Tim, are you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Either one of you. I'm just looking for someone to give the general public a brief overview of how we will handle questions and what will happen from this point in our regular meeting.
Thanks. I can take that, Brett, really quick. So just for the sake of the public that are joining us on Layton City Live or on YouTube or any of those other methods, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see the Planning Commission can't see this, but there's a banner at the bottom of your screen that tells you where you can go to leave comments. We've got someone monitoring those comments. I'm looking up at mine so I can see it, but that address is there at the bottom. It's laytoncity.org with some /LC /city / if you go to that location, there's a way for you to comment on this. We're going to be monitoring those comments and letting the Planning Commission know what it is that your questions or concerns are. And at the appropriate time, we'll have, I think Mason's monitoring those comments. We'll have him read those comments into the record.
Great. Thank you. And so just so that those of you that may be here either joining for information purposes, but if in fact you have a question, if you'll wait, I will at the end of our discussion as planning commissioners, we will make some time available for you what we will do is if you'll type out your question and send it to Mason, then we will ask Mason if we have any outstanding questions that we need to deal with, or that we have some of our attendees that are here that are project people that could answer those for us. So are there any questions right now of anybody that has any process questions? Are we good? Okay. Then we will accept, first of all, we need a motion on the minutes of some last meetings. We've had a few corrections and changes, and we have a few meetings that we're going that we've all reviewed. And I would be glad to accept a motion in behalf of the minutes, and if you'll state which minutes those are, that would be appropriate. So I'm waiting for a commissioner to unmute and actually make the motion on the minutes.
I'll do that. I'd like to, Mr. Chair, I'd propose that we approve the meeting minutes for the meetings, the work and open planning commission meetings for December 10th. Sorry, I'm going through the packet.
Okay.
This January 14th. January 28th. February 11th. And March 10th. And March 24th.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Manning. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
Was that you?
Roberts.
Okay. Are there any other questions regarding any of the minutes or suggested changes for those meetings? Seeing none, I will do just a roll call vote and we'll go from there. So Commissioner Allen?
Good. Yes.
Commissioner Steenblik?
Yes.
Commissioner Manning?
Yes.
Commissioner Crowder? I have red lips on that one.
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
That was a yes from Commissioner Crowder. Commissioner Van Drunen? That's a yes. Commissioner Roberts?
Yes.
Okay, then that's unanimous. Thank you very much. We'll also accept a motion to move into public review.
So moved. This is Vernon.
By Commissioner Van Drunen. And we have a
Seconded.
second by Commissioner Steenblik. Any questions? All in favor, would you just show your thumbs up, please? So that's unanimous from Steenblik and Manning and Crowder and Van Drunen and Allen and Commissioner Roberts. So those are all positive. So let's move into item number 1, and that would be directed by Kim Weaver.
And commissioners, item number 1 before you is Lakeview Estates preliminary plat. As you can see by the overall map, it's located towards Highway 89. And on this aerial view, you can see it is north of Holmes Creek Reservoir and has Gentile Street going right through the center of the property. The purpose of the plat is to create a second residential building lot on the south side of Gentile Street. Lot 2 has the existing home, which is a log cabin home, where the applicants, the Smiths, Sid and Bridget live. And they are looking to build on Lot 1 a new home that would meet the geotechnical requirements and going above and beyond by adding piers. By creating this plat, Gentile Street, which has never been deeded or dedicated.
Start your slideshow. It's showing up on.
Oh.
So just go down, yeah, start slideshow.
Where's it?
And the bottom right there.
There. Layton City or East Layton Township. And so this gives a great opportunity to dedicate the 60-foot right-of-way that goes through this property to Layton City and create that second buildable lot for the Smiths. Are there any questions? Our recommendation is to approve the preliminary plat by the Planning Commission. Any questions?
Thank you, Kim. Are there any initial questions that anybody, members of the Planning Commission have for Mr. Weaver?
So just we talked about the geotech and everything in the work meeting. In the recommendation wording, if we were to recommend that they meet all city requirements, Kim, would that include the geotech recommendations, or are they requirements?
No, they're requirements. As part of the building permit, we'll use that geotechnical report as a foundation for building the house. They would have to meet, or the contractor would have to meet all the requirements in that geotech report.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is Commissioner Steenblick. In your dialogue before just now, Kim, you mentioned that the pylons would be part of, was that part of the geotech recommendations, or was that just something extra that they were gonna possibly do? And will that happen for sure?
So
Well,
this,
the geotech report did not require the pier system. However, the applicants want to install a pier system just to give it more security, stabilization to the home.
so when we're done with questions, Commissioner Steenblick, we'll ask the Smiths to come on and reconfirm that for us. So,
Okay.
questions, members of the Planning Commission. So, Mr. and Ms. Smith, would you mind answering Commissioner Steenblick's question for us and sharing the fact that you understand all of the criteria involved with the slope as well as the geotech report?
Yes, we understand all of the requirements. We started this, you got to understand, we'll be living in that house. If we don't want a house that's going to slide off. We've lived in Layton for many years, and we have the houses that fell off down in the other area where we used to live. And so the answer was, we're going the extra mile, not just for the requirements of the city. We're going the extra mile for the requirements of our own. And so we don't want a house that won't fall off or become a problem in the future. And so it really isn't that much more costly to ensure that the house will be safe. Okay,
and you're comfortable with those recommendations from third parties for you to move forward, is that correct? Yes, we also build on a gore lot, which is a whole other problem. But because of the gore lot, we weren't allowed to go down the slope anyway. And so we're literally building upon the collar of the area. There's a collar that goes around the reservoir, a natural collar. And that collar has been here for 10,000 years. It hasn't moved. And so that's why the geotech came back and said, if you build and you don't go down that slope, by going down to make a basement, we will actually hit native soil. And so
the house would be safe without piering, but we want to take, the piering is an assurity issue for us. And it also provides us extra storage because they'll pier underneath the garages too.
Thank you. Then I open it up for any other follow-up questions from any members of the Planning Commission or any other questions that you have for Mr. Smith. Hearing none, I'd be glad to bring it back to the Planning Commission for consideration of a motion.
This is Van Drunen. I'll make that motion. I recommend Planning Commission approve the preliminary plat for the Lakeside View Estate subdivision, subject to meeting all city requirements.
Thank you. So I have a
Chair,
second.
Mr. Chair.
Brian,
Mr. Chair,
I just saw you.
before we vote, Mr. Chair, we do have a comment from the public.
Okay, that'd be great. Let's go ahead and if you want to have Mason, do you want to share that with us?
Chad,
We're just checking.
which comment are you looking at?
Oh, okay. We're trying to get it up here on our.
So what I do see is that I confirmed with Trevor that the chat function was working, and then one of the public asked what this meeting was for, which was answered in the chat itself. So I didn't see any comments specific to this item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chad, does that answer your question?
In the morning.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll continue on. We have a motion
I second.
and a second from Commissioner Steenblick. Is there any other comments? So can you take us back to the participating party screen so I can do a roll call vote? Thank you. So Commissioner Steenblick,
Yes.
Commissioner Manning,
Yes.
Commissioner Cratter,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Drunen,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Let's see, who else do we have? Oh, Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? I think that's it, right? That's unanimous, and so that motion passes. So thank you very much. Item number 2, we go to Zach, and he'll take care of that presentation on Just Peachy Beauty, a conditional use permit.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me get it open. So this conditional use is for Just Peachy Beauty. It will be a beauty shop or a cosmetic facility where they will perform, minor, simple cosmetic services. They will have one chair, and actually I'll step back a minute, and you can see it's located on East Antelope Drive between North Hillfield Road and North Fort Lane. And the site is right here. It contains 2 buildings. One building is a larger single-story building on the north end of the property, and to the south you can see a 2-story building. In total, it contains around 5,300 square feet and 15 tenant spaces. Currently, 14 tenant spaces are occupied by professional offices, and the 15th suite is going to be occupied by Just Peachy Beauty. The site is zoned PB, or professional office, which currently requires beauty or barber shops to contain or to get a conditional use. And you will see Just Peachy Beauty is going to be occupying Suite B, and that's going to be an orange, or I guess kind of a peachy color, depending on how you look at it. And I should step back. They will also be providing a couple times per month during the weekend, small classes of no more than 10 students, and those will be held in the common area, and that's indicated in blue. So you can see the whole space that the conditional use is applying to is roughly 600 square feet. And in 2016, August 9th of 2016, there was a landscape buffer modification that was approved by the Planning Commission. And you can see, it's kind of hard to see on this, but on a portion of the southeast and on a portion of the east property boundaries, the landscape buffer was reduced to 0 feet to allow for an addition of 6 parking spaces. When you take that into account, the rest of the property meets all landscaping requirements. So the parking available on the site is with the 6 additional spaces that were granted by the Planning Commission in 2016. The total is 22 off-street parking spaces. In the PB zone, professional office requires 1 space for each 300 square feet of floor area, and that's on the main floor, and on the second floor, it's 1 per 400 square feet. So with the way the parking breaks down during the week when all of the spaces will be occupied, the existing businesses will require 17 parking spaces, and Just Peachy will require 3, and Just Peachy's parking standard is based on 3 parking stalls per station, and with Just Peachy Beauty having 1 station, it requires 3 parking stalls, and that's a total of 20 parking stalls during the week that are required. So that is sufficient with the 22 parking stalls available. During the weekend, on the weekends when Just Peachy Beauty will be holding small classes, we currently don't have a parking standard to apply to that. And in cases where we don't have a legitimate standard that kind of meets the intent, the zoning administrator is able to determine a parking rate based on a similar use in our code. And we thought that was appropriate because if we were going to apply the professional office standard, which is what we typically would apply in this situation for a school, the rate would be 1 per 300 square feet. So the requirement would be 2 parking stalls. And we didn't feel that was very adequate for this type of use where it's going to be a typical like adult type education, and there'll be potentially a lot more vehicles than 2. So we felt an appropriate calculation for this was 1 space for each student and 1 space for each instructor. So that would require 11 parking spaces for Just Peachy Beauty during the weekends when they are holding these small classes. And the other existing businesses are operating between 9 and 5 Monday through Friday. So they will typically not be there on the weekend. So they will that puts the parking requirement for the other businesses during the weekend at 0. So that allows, or that means the parking requirement would be 11 for the weekends. Like I said, when classes are being held, which is less than the 22 that are available. So staff's recommendation is the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit for a barber or beauty shop, subject to the following conditions. All building, planning, engineering, fire department requirements shall be met before business license approval, and the applicant shall obtain a valid business license from the city.
So Zach, does that include 2 different business licenses, one for a school and one for a beauty salon?
I'm sorry, did you ask if it was for, or if there would be a conditional use for 2 businesses?
Yeah, is it 2 different business licenses, one for a school and one for a salon?
No, it's, I should have clarified, it's 1 business license and 1 conditional use because the beauty school is it's almost like an ancillary use to the beauty shop. It's going to be for the same type of services, and maybe I believe Ms. Lazaro was available today. Maybe she can elaborate on type of services she'll be providing. But we felt as staff that it was, ancillary to the primary use.
Okay, and then do you know what some of the other businesses are in that building?
I don't have them written down offhand. I believe one's it's like a software company or a web design. It's more of, I should have written them down. I do apologize. But they were all primarily professional, or they were all professional offices.
Hometown Values is in the very end of that building, isn't it?
Okay. Is that a business that you've seen, Chris? Is it closed on a Saturday?
Yeah, the Hometown Values is a advertising company that's usually just open during the week.
All right. Are there any other questions from members of the Planning Commission for Zach in regards to this conditional use permit?
This is Commissioner Steenblick. The landscape buffer modification that went in, your slide is showing the parking spaces to the east. I think that's how I'm interpreting that slide. Are those in place right now, or will they need to be in place before this business license can be approved?
They have
or this
already
conditional use.
They have already been installed. It's already in place. And this actually doesn't show all the striping for the parking spaces. If I'll go back to the previous slides, you can see it's a little difficult to see. And I don't know how it is on your screen, but you can actually see the parking spaces in place right there.
So we can see all the ones that are against the building, but not against the north property line.
I'm sorry, the north property?
Yeah.
The east. You mean the east?
Yeah, you mean the east. Yeah.
It's a little difficult to see. It's not actually asphalt. I went out and I should have included the picture, but it's more of a concrete, so it blends in and they're striped. It's all in place and meets our standard.
Okay. Anybody else have a question for Zach in regards to this property?
The common area, is that kind of a foyer that would, are a lot of the entrances, well, obviously some of the back ones, most of those enter from that common area?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't really know the specifics of the building more so than this floor plan. I haven't visited the inside of the building.
Okay, well, that's fine.
There is a wall that's kind of difficult to see that divides on. Can you guys see my cursor at all, or?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. There's a wall right here as well that was indicated on the floor plan. Assuming that that's still there, it separates this hallway area, and this is kind of, like I said, a foyer, I would imagine. Maybe, like I said, Ms. Lucero could elaborate more on that if she's available.
So Zach, do you know if there's available restrooms and things in that area? It's just a detailed map, so I'm just, or do they have to go out for that?
They're right here. I don't know if you can see my cursor on the end of the hallway.
Egress out and trying to see how that traffic.
Yes, there is available restrooms. And it's not actually in the common area, it's down a hallway.
I think this might be a silly question, Commissioner, but when we're doing conditional uses like this, if there's going to be 10 people, is like we talk about parking, do we talk about restroom facilities too? Does there have to be a certain volume to handle the capacity? I assume if it can handle the capacity of the office as is, it can probably handle the capacity on the weekend too. But is that something that gets looked at also?
That would be something that's looked at during the building code. This is Chad, by the way. That's something that's looked at during the building code review. So the building's already been reviewed, that those bathrooms are appropriately sized for the size of office building that it is.
Okay, thank you.
So just really quick, so if they were wishing to tear down the walls inside and turn this into a big classroom space where they might bring 100 people in, to be able to do that, they'd have to get permission before they could make the modifications, and thereby have to get permission to modify the restrooms and stuff, right? They can't do interior modifications.
Yes, that's a different process, but yes.
That probably goes to the building code, and the building is a new business line, or a building permit would need to be pulled. Okay. Any other questions from any other commissioners? Hearing none, we appreciate Ms. Lucero being on with us today. I don't know that we have any other questions that we need to ask you, but we appreciate your listening in and being with us today. But I'd be glad to bring this back to the Planning Commission for consideration of a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
this is Commissioner Manning. I'd like to make a motion that the Planning Commission grant conditional use approval of the barber or beauty shop, subject to applicant meeting all of the city requirements.
Okay, I have a motion from.
Second.
And the second, was that from you, Commissioner Steenblik?
Yes, sir, Mr. Commissioner.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any other comments regarding the motion? Okay, can you take me back to the common screen again, please?
Yep.
Okay, I'll take this back for a vote. So Commissioner Allen,
Yes.
Commissioner Manning,
Yes.
Commissioner Crowder,
Yes.
Commissioner Van Drunen,
Yes.
Mr. Steenblik,
Yes.
Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, and that is unanimous. So that motion passes as well. So I don't think, Tim, that we don't need to deal with the other issue that you brought up at the end of our other meeting. Is that correct?
That's correct. We just
Correct.
probably repeat that there will not be a planning commission meeting on April 28th.
Okay. So we announce that to anybody that's in the general public that's listening in, that we will not hold a planning commission meeting on the 4th week. That'll be deferred until the 2nd week of May. So I would move for a motion to close public review and to adjourn the meeting.
So made.
So from Commissioner Steenblik, a second.
Second, Commissioner Roberts.
Want to stay, don't you? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Everybody's thumbs up, I suspect, and we'll move to adjournment. Great, thank you.
Thank you. Now, I appreciate y'all.
Thanks,
Okay.
you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, have a great evening and be safe.